Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the film Pixels. There's a lot going against Pixels. Certainly its star is just there to get a paycheck. Its director is far past his prime. It stars the terrible trifecta of Adam Sandler, Josh Gad, and Kevin James. It is clearly more made corporately in a very soulless fashion than most summer blockbusters are, but you'd think that a film about a bunch of video game characters coming to life that Adam Sandler has to stop from taking over the world would at least be a fun movie, but it finds a corporate way to stop itself from doing anything that even resembles fun. It is the anti-modern summer blockbuster. It reminds me when summer blockbusters were less about like trying to build an audience and build a relationship and just getting asses in seats. Now summer blockbusters still have that a lot, quite frankly, but this one feels so much more corporate and more bored in having the commerce part of art and commerce win out. Pixels is a sign that Adam Sandler is probably sick of being a movie star and not even trying to pretend like he's even sort of giving a shit anymore. And this movie also shows Sony itself kind of not really giving a shit anymore, just making a project that they feel will definitely make money. And in a lot of ways, it just feels like a film that's ready to be a summer blockbuster. But unfortunately, it never gives you the fun of actually being a summer blockbuster. It just expects you to show up and expects you to like it. We're just going to present this very corporate, boring movie and just hope this kind of works out. And unfortunately for us, it really doesn't. A bunch of kids who are very good and very into video games at their local arcade and play them all the time. Even one character gets to the championship and plays against a guy who looks a lot like Billy Mitchell from King of Kong. And that competition was videotaped for a news program and shot into a capsule into space, so if alien life finds it, they know something about Earth. And then when that is sent out, the aliens think that this is a mission of war, so they send video game characters back to Earth to destroy Earth, who they think are going to fight them. So they start with Galaga, and then they move on to Centipede. And the president, who's played by Kevin James, yes, this is a movie where the president is played by Kevin James, whose best friend played against the Billy Mitchell type character, and as a grown-up is played by Adam Sandler, has to help the president Kevin James figure out how to defeat these video games since he beat all those games and knows the patterns and knows how to do it. And they enlist the help of the guy who's basically playing Billy Mitchell from King of Kong, Peter Dinklage, and Josh Gad. And so they all go out and try to stop these video games because they only have 3 lives before they will come and take over the whole world. And they also have Q*bert involved, and they have to do this, and Adam Sandler has to win on the girl, and there's lots of 80s music. I think in a lot of ways this should be a fun movie. I feel like most audiences kind of want a video game Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I don't know if Wreck-It Ralph, although Wreck-It Ralph's a good movie, I don't know if it necessarily did that, and Pixels seems to be doing that also. I think it fails even worse, not only at trying to be the video game Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but also at being a good movie. The problem with video game movies right now is the same problem we had with comic book movies until more recently, is that you had all these directors and studio executives making these decisions knowing that it's a brand, people will go out to see this thing, there's an audience awareness for it already, but they couldn't find a director who was really into it until they had directors like Sam Raimi, like Joss Whedon, like directors who grew up reading the comics and loved comics and understood them and understood how to bring them to the big screen. Pixels shows a problem that keeps happening with video game adaptations, and I don't see the trend changing just yet, maybe with Warcraft, which I haven't seen anything from, but I think it's going to take a while where you really have directors who grew up playing video games. And I don't know if Chris Columbus did ever, maybe he did a couple times. They really need someone to do a video game movie who like gives a shit about video games, and this was just directed as like a big budget, big expensive summer movie. It wasn't directed for any love of video games, which is kind of the problem with it. The other problem I think is that you can't combine like an event film with a star vehicle for somebody. A film like San Andreas had the same problem with The Rock, and this movie has the same problem with Adam Sandler, where it's like it has to focus on the lead, the star of the movie, instead of focusing on the event of the whole thing. We don't really care about Adam Sandler gets drunk in a closet with Michelle Moynihan. Why am I watching this? I want to see video video game characters destroying things and everything getting pixelated, and that's supposed to be the draw. The draw of this really isn't Adam Sandler, but he still kind of acts like this is basically an Adam Sandler movie directed by Chris Columbus. It's not really a Chris Columbus movie that Adam Sandler's starring in. And what's weird is, like, for someone who doesn't care so much, why does he care about continuing this brand and continuing making himself the star all the time? I'm sure you could have gotten paid the same, made this more of an event movie instead of an Adam Sandler movie. And it's a little sad to see Chris Columbus directing an Adam Sandler film. Technical wise, I guess, is directed better than most Adam Sandler movies, but in terms of flow and everything, Chris Columbus, his Harry Potter movies feel very long. I mean, I like the first Harry Potter movie, but they feel very long. He's not really good with pacing. I've seen most of his films. I love Home Alone. I haven't seen like Bicentennial Man and I Love You, Beth Cooper and Percy Jackson and Rent, at least not yet. He's very much a very soulless studio director who in some cases can be very good. Look at the Home Alone movies, Mrs. Doubtfire, the first Harry Potter, but his kind of studio directorness shows a lack of any real auteur style to him. There's like no way you could really tell this is a Chris Columbus movie unless I told you. He's just not really good at showing any sort of voice through his films. I think Home Alone kind of works more because of John Hughes. If you look at most of his films, there's another reason it works. And with a star who like clearly kind of doesn't want to be there and can't change his emotion from like, dear God, why is this movie stardom not ending? It just doesn't really work as well. Also, Chris Columbus isn't as good at action sequences as he used to. I think in the Harry Potter movies, he was actually, even 2, which I don't really like 2, the action sequences really work, and in the Home Alone movies. In this, it's not as fun. There's certain sequences they just skip over things to very quickly explain them. Like he has certain set pieces and they don't really make sense and they're not too incredible anymore. Maybe it's because I've seen a ton of great action sequences this summer and Pixels has to live up to that. Or maybe it's because Chris Columbus just isn't as good as he used to be. He hasn't directed a movie in 5 years. It really feels that way. And having like all these people in this film who they've been in the industry for a while, they're clearly more losing their love of it. They're just kind of having a hit to keep this thing going. Columbus's enthusiasm for his direction is about the same for Adam Sandler. Even complaining about him being so lifeless in his performances has become a cliche because he's been doing it so often. I kind of don't understand where he's at as a star at all because he insists on making these Adam Sandler kind of movies. Like, why doesn't he do a different kind of film? And like Pixels looks like it is, but it still makes itself an Adam Sandler film. And that's the worst quality to it. Josh Gad is never in a good movie unless it's Frozen. He is like one of those actors. If Josh Gad's in a movie, you should probably stay away from it. Josh Gad and Peter Dinklage were probably the only actors who really cared. Michelle Moynihan, I think, cared a little bit. And Kevin James, who didn't really care either. It was just a strange movie to watch. It's one thing if they over try, but it felt like they could not care less, a lot of the people involved in this film. The apathy in this film runs so deep, you can't mistake it. In some ways, it can be a little enjoyable, but most of the time you're just like, what is, like, these are jokes? They kind of held it back because of its Adam Sandler-ness and because nobody really cared. And I think it shows the corporate side of Hollywood filmmaking that everyone always complains about. You look at it and you go like, oh, they just know they can get all those idiots to spend money. And Pixels kind of makes you feel like they can dupe those idiots again. Shows like how calculating Hollywood is, but how calculating they can be without finding a way to like get you to like it and maybe buy the Blu-ray and see again. And if they wanted to make a sequel, actually see that. A movie about video games needs to have some fun and understand video games. They are different mediums, certainly. Being someone who sat through tons of bad comic book movies before we started getting good ones regularly, you can tell when a director gets the source material and you can tell when they're there just because this is a big opportunity for them. If they had a director in the star like who cared about video games and there was some hunger there and some vigor behind the director and the star, I think even if it was stupid, people would be into it. Look at Jurassic World's a pretty dumb movie and we were all into it because Chris Pratt had some fun with it and the director like clearly really liked Jurassic Park. That fun energy can be infectious even if it's like very corporately controlled, and Pixels is just corporately controlled. There's no fun there. It just shows the Adam Sandler starring vehicle is dying and they've come to the point where they're coming up with ridiculous gimmicks to try to get you in, but like they don't even care enough to like get those gimmicks to be fun enough to keep this going. This is kind of just showing where we are with video game movies now, is that people who don't really care, who just think they've found another way to have another hit movie for Adam Sandler and another hit movie for Chris Columbus. This just felt like a film that the suits all came down and decided, like, this will work, we have these ingredients. It's not a very fun or funny movie. I didn't really laugh. It happened and it was over, and I was glad it was over. It's just another big movie property, and they want it to all work out and be a hit, but they're not really thinking about it, why it should be a hit. When they don't think about that, you get forgettable movies that, like, a few people remember for nostalgic reasons, but that's pretty much the only reason, because most people stayed away from it. And Pixels is a film that you should stay away from, even if you like video games, or you used to like Adam Sandler, or you like the 80s. This is probably one of the worst movies of the summer. I guess I'm kind of apathetic about hating it, because I'm just mirroring the apathetic nature in which it was made. It's just a very empty black hole of apathy and nostalgia, and just sucks all of that into it and gives you nothing in return. So if you have seen Pixels and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.